Coming up this week, we are playing Financial Advisor Math. We're taking people's stories and they're asking, hey, here's my situation. Am I doing okay? And Chris Fox is going to take a look at that and tell them, are they doing okay or are they not doing okay? And more than likely, they're probably doing okay. That's all coming up next on Money Makes It Weird.
Sweet.
Welcome to another edition of Money Makes It Weird. My name is Matt Hayes. I am the professional talking head, and this guy on the other side?
I'm Chris Fox.
Professional financial planner.
Well, it's not professional. It's certified financial planner.
I apologize.
There's actually a difference.
Certified financial planner. And by the way, shout out to Arlene over at Compliance at IPC who listens to our podcasts, who I know is
Arlene.
Hi, Arlene. I know she enjoys taking a listen to our podcast. I just want to say hello, and we appreciate all the hard work that you do. So this week, we have some interesting stories from the world of Reddit. So here on Money Makes It Weird, we take a look at the fun posts that people make on Reddit, on the financial posts online. They share their questions, their woes and worries from the financial world, about retirement, about their money situations, because money does just make life weird. And then we talk about it here with Chris to see what his professional insight is. And people are, this week, Chris, I just logged on and people are just saying, hey, here's where I'm at. Like they're open, they're like an open book this week. They're just like, hey, here's my financial life. Am I doing okay? Nice. People just kind of want to know if things are going okay in their world, you know?
Yeah, it's the question for sure. Always.
Does that seem to happen a lot? Like in your office, do people like just kind of come in and be like, hey, here's my books. Take a look at this. Am I doing okay? Does that seem to happen a lot?
Yeah. And in social situations and on a train and on the plane. I don't know, maybe it's my face. People just like telling me stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's do the rough math, right? Yeah. It's fun.
You have that face where it's just like, oh yeah, I want to tell this guy that I have, X amount of dollars in my accounts all of a sudden. Let me tell you all my personal finance information. You have that type of face, Oh,
thanks, Matt.
Yeah. I don't know what that says, but yes, you have a face for finance. That's exactly the type of face that you have. I kind of get the feeling though that you enjoy that though. You enjoy when people just kind of really want to share that information with you.
For sure. No, it's I always say I'm a people person with a background in finance, right?
There you go.
And I like solving problems. I like figuring it out. And I've been doing it for a while, so let's keep doing it. Yeah.
All right, so let's dig into two of these stories from the world of personal finance Reddit. And as we always say in each podcast, these are these people's personal finance situations. Yours is different. So, make sure you get the proper financial information according to your professionals. And this is not any sort of advice from, these people or from Chris as well. Too, some of the information is from, all parts of the world. Reddit posts are from everywhere. Sometimes they're from the United States, sometimes from Europe, but, we will make sure we translate accordingly to the Canadian market so you understand, how it might relate to you and your money as well. So we're going to start off here with a family. Any tips or changes we should make? Our household income is about $150,000 to $160,000, depending on overtime and bonuses. He makes $90,000 and she makes $70,000. He's 40 and she's 37. He's in maintenance and she is a part-time nurse. She makes $70,000 part-time. That's pretty darn good. But she's a nurse. I mean, they make pretty darn good money definitely deserved for the line of work.
Oh my gosh. Nurses are the hardest workers. Kudos. For sure. I have actually a lot of nurse clients and I have so much respect for them. And my sister's a nurse, actually. Yeah.
Oh, is she? Nice.
My mother-in-law was a nurse. Sidetrack.
Current mother-in-law or ex-mother-in-law?
Current.
Okay, I wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, funny enough, so was my ex-mother-in-law. Yep. I had to think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, she was too.
So getting back to the family, they have 4 kids and live in a low-cost area. Currently have $3,000 in a savings account as a kind of an initial emergency fund,
Okay.
$60,000 in a high yield savings account that they use for vacations, and the rest in kind of an emergency fund. They currently have $22,000 in a 529 account, which is kind of a uh, college
Is that
type of.
like an education savings
Yeah, it's like
plan
an
kind of thing?
education fund because they have a freshman in high school, so that's gonna be used for, college. Hopefully, they get a
Okay.
lot more than that because of they're gonna need a little bit more than that here in a couple of years. When it comes to retirement accounts, they currently have $125,000, contributing $10,000, including a match, $69,000 in the wife's, and contributing 6%. When it comes to debts, they currently have $2,600 per month with their mortgage. They owe $400,000 on their house. Realtor.com currently has their house worth at $595,000. Their interest rate is 3.25%. No car
Mm-hmm.
payments or student loans. That's great.
Sweet.
They do have a balance on their one and only credit card of $6,000. They do have another high yield savings account of $11,000 that they plan to use to help buy vehicles for their kids in the next 4 to 6 years. Oh, those kids don't realize how good they have it if they're going to get cars here in the next few years.
Right.
I know some of the money we have sitting in some of these high yield savings accounts should be invested, but I have to have to convince my wife of this. So the question seems to be more
Hmm.
about and I think we had this in one of the previous episodes as well. And this seems to be a question that I see a lot on this about people love having the cash available in these high yield savings
Mm-hmm.
accounts,
Yeah.
but they kind of almost feel guilty that their money could be doing better somewhere
Yeah.
else. So
Yeah.
this gentleman sits down and presents this to you. What do you
Mm-hmm.
say to him? And do you try to convince the wife to put some of this money into, other type
Yeah.
of retirement,
Mm-hmm.
products.
My first question would be, why do they have 6,000 on a credit card? At
Mm,
in Canada anyway, that's like 29%. I don't know what it would
yeah.
be in the States. Would it
Oh,
be a
very much
high,
so,
I
yeah, you're
imagine?
gonna be
Yeah.
paying about the same, yeah.
So that needs to be paid off right away.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It just doesn't make sense. And maybe it's just from a short-term thing, hopefully. Maybe just hadn't paid it off. Maybe they pay it off every month, I hope.
Mhm.
What would, just as a sidebar, what would you consider a low cost of living area in the States? Is it, I know high cost would be like, Silicon
New
Valley,
York, yeah,
New
Silicon
York,
Valley,
all
Seattle.
that kind of stuff. Okay.
Low cost,
Seattle
I
too,
would
eh?
say would Seattle would be, definitely a high cost for sure.
Okay.
Um, Low cost would be, I would say, Cleveland, Ohio, Cincinnati,
Okay.
Indianapolis.
Okay. So
So
like their income is pretty darn good for that area, I'm
oh,
guessing,
very yeah, if you're
right?
that would be what, like $160,000 for a region like that, you're
Mm-hmm.
doing pretty darn well. And
Mm-hmm.
if they have, what the current 595,000, if for a home
The
like
value of their
that,
house. Yeah.
yeah, the value of their house, more than likely, they probably have a really nice, for sure, like 4 or 5 bedroom,
Okay.
home in a very nice suburb for sure,
Okay.
that they could have probably bought years ago for like 250, 300,000, but the market in the
Nice.
last 10 years really shot
Mm-hmm.
that up. Some of the
Mm-hmm.
homes I see back in I'm originally from Cleveland, and there are some homes that I look at that are now worth $500,000 where I kind of roll my eyes and go, I don't think so, but that's just my personal opinion, just me. But
Was the Drew Carey show set in Cleveland?
it was, yes, it was.
Excellent. I mean, their cash flow is good.
Hmm.
Besides that credit card, they've got a lot sitting on the sidelines, right? In that high interest savings. Um, and also I like that he said $60,000 for vacations. I'm like, wicked. Where are you going and how often? I know, 4 kids, right? So I,
Yeah.
I imagine their vacations are more expensive, but
Disney's not cheap
wow.
anymore, my friend. Disney is
Yeah.
not cheap.
Yeah. They sound like they're doing all the right things. They should sit down with a financial planner, a certified financial planner,
Hmm.
and like hash that all out. Like put the numbers in the software. Do they have pensions? like I imagine as a nurse, she probably has a pension.
Mhm.
They would in Canada, and as maintenance, depending on what field he's in, he could, if he's maintenance in like a hospital or government or something like that, he might have a pension. So that needs to be considered as well.
Yeah.
And then kind of figure out the priorities. Obviously, kids going to school, like you said, that 22,000 isn't going to be enough um, for college, likely. But do they have
Yeah.
scholarships? Right? All that. There's, as always, there's missing information. But
Right.
um, I always like to work it back to the plan. What do they need when the kids are out of the house and they're retired? Are they staying where they are? And then work back that number. How much do
Yeah.
they need? Right?
Yeah.
How much will, as we are talking before we started, is there Social Security at that point?
Mm.
Or not,
Yeah.
right? In Canada, I would say, in retirement, as it stands today, people can expect to get their CPP.
Mhm.
But I guess not in the States.
Yeah. They're age 40 and age 37. There's a lot of question marks
Right?
whether it will be there or how much will be available at that point. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
because if you're 40, more than likely that's going to be another 27 years because he's probably going to be 67. I think the current age is 67. More than likely, he's probably going to be, well past that. At that point, they're going to continue to push that retirement
Hmm.
age, down the line. So, and the
Right.
number is going to continue to go down. So,
Yeah.
um, overall, the question
Hmm.
is, any tips or changes we would make, but also it's like, how are they doing financially? They seem to be doing okay, especially if there's no
Yeah.
car payments, no student loans.
Yeah.
It's not as if, yeah, you have a $6,000, credit card. Then if they have, some cash laying around, they could easily just pay that off right away and be done.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, they seem to be doing pretty okay with,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially with quote unquote the economy in the States and overall, the way it's going. They seem to be doing
Yeah.
pretty okay. So
I think so. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, sitting down with the planner, figuring it out all together. And I think it would make sense. Like part of that is how much of a rate of return do they need, or how much risk do they need to take on, right, to get
yes.
that desired income.
Looking into some of the comments, first comment and with the most likes are, why are you keeping the credit card debt when you have $60,000 just sitting in savings? And the person
Right.
replies back, that's a good question. We pay it off and it creeps up, just need to be better disciplined. At least they're being
Hmm.
honest. That's,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
appreciate that. Why do you have a credit card balance when you have $75,000 in savings accounts? That seems to be pretty much the main things. Like, I don't understand
The
the
theme.
fascination with carrying a credit card balance when you have funds to pay it off. Um,
Hmm.
overall, seems to be everyone is the same thing. You're severely behind on retirement. One person says you're supposed to have three times for salary and retirement accounts by the time you're 40. You need to increase contribution significantly at this point. Is one comment.
What did they say? You're supposed to have 3 times your
Your
income?
salary and You're supposed to have three times for salary and retirement accounts by the time you're 40.
Wow. I've never heard that rule. I would have to think about that.
That's an interesting wait.
Have you heard that
Again,
one before?
I've heard something similar to that, but not that one exactly. The guy's response back is, yes, we recently started being more serious about retirement. It's hard with 4 kids.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it
Right?
can be kind of tough. And like you said too, it's all also part of like what is the bigger picture too. Some people might be planning on working until a little bit later. Maybe there's
Mm-hmm.
other, you know, maybe he's part of maintenance. Maybe he is potentially part owner of a company or something down the road. There might be
Yeah.
other pieces or parts with this that we don't know yet.
Yeah.
So there's always some
Or
questions with that. But
union.
all
Yeah.
right, let's move on to our next one. We're going from a family to a single gentleman. I just want to make sure that I'm not crazy here. I'm currently 30 years old working in tech. I make about $180,000 a year after my most recent raise, plus a sizable bonus and RSUs. So he has some potential stock options that he's going to be able to cash out at some point. So more than
That's what
likely,
RSU is?
yeah.
Yeah.
So he has. He works in tech. So probably lives in Silicon Valley and works for one of the big boys and has some potential stock
Right.
options that he's going to be able to cash out at some point.
Cool.
As of this past year, I'm making I'm maxing my traditional 401k, and I've spent 2 years putting money into a Roth IRA via a backdoor Roth. I get a 6% match from my company. So he's putting as much money as he can. At this point, I
Okay.
have about $195,000 in my 401k invested in a 2065 target date fund. So it looks like he's aiming to retire at 2065. Um,
So
and
40
50,
years from now?
yeah, so 40 years from now. So he's 30, so he's aiming to retire at 70. So he's going to work for a little bit while. So okay, he's going to continue to
Okay.
push for it. Funny, working in tech and you're planning, most people that are in tech are planning on retiring at like 40.
Right?
They're all planning on having the big thing that's going to save the world, and that they're going
Mm-hmm.
to retire very, very early. Um, and $15,000 in my Roth IRA, both a little low due to recent market downturn, which is allocated at about 80% in an S&P ETF, 10% each to bonds and foreign stocks, VTI, VUX, and BND. With my next year's contribution, I want to up the VTI allocation to 90%. Based on my calculations, I'm retiring at 65 years old. Okay, so maybe he's going to hold off on that fund until 70. He must have something else planning to start early with that. My current retirement savings with no other contributions would be worth somewhere between 2.2 and 5.9 million, with an average of 7 to 10% return, which should land me between 90K and 235,000 annual income at
Mm-hmm.
4% distribution at 65, not factoring in Social Security. Smart man. Next
That's
year, I
good.
should be that's a very, very smart man. Next year, I should be looking at about another 40 to 42K in contributions between maxing my 401k and Roth IRA and employee contribution. I'm also switching to HDHP that will let me contribute to an HSA as well, health savings account. So the numbers should be a little
Okay.
better all around by the end of 2026. So overall, looks like this guy is putting a whole lot of money
Mm-hmm.
into everything at 30 years old.
That's awesome.
He's checking his retirement math. Overall, if this gentleman was sitting in your office, what would you tell him?
I think he's doing okay. I think he's doing okay. Right? Look, he's doing all the
Yeah,
right things. I mean, we
yeah,
don't know what his cash flow's like, besides what he's saving. Does he have a house? Wherever he lives, is there assets there? Is he going to get married?
right. He does say, by the way, a
Um,
little bit later in here, he does say that he does live in a very, I did skip about half of it because there's a lot of just mumbo jumbo because he's like, I feel
okay.
confident, blah, blah, blah. But he does say he lives in a very high cost area
Okay.
living. If he lives in tech, he more than likely lives in Silicon Valley or New York City. So,
Okay. So he may or may not have property, right? Because that's a
right.
factor too.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, wow, he's single, saving
Hmm.
lots, right? As
Hmm.
it stands, everything looks really rosy. But as we know, Matt, things can
Hmm.
change, right? So
Yeah.
who knows if he gets married, has kids? I mean, that changes
Yeah.
everything. If he has a big setback in some way.
Hmm.
But I mean, at the savings rate he's going, he will have plenty of money. It sounds like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he stays, I guess, high cost of living, New York or there, or in Silicon Valley, that would be, you'd have to have a lot more money to stay there, right?
Right. Yeah.
In retirement. But I imagine people wouldn't stay in Silicon Valley,
No.
if
No,
you're
more
over
than likely.
40.
Yeah. Now, there is an extra paragraph I did just as I was scrolling down. For a little extra spice, I've already purchased and I'm renovating a home in a low cost area of living area in
Hmm,
cash. In cash. Once I move,
nice.
I'll have no mortgage, rent payment, low property taxes, and I can't imagine wanting to ever move again. So that answers that question.
Okay.
And this kid's being very, very smart. Yeah,
This is awesome.
most people when you work in tech and all that, like you don't unless you are, one of the top earners, you don't really stay in Silicon Valley or whatever. In New York, in some of those cities, you might move out to the suburbs like Westchester County or New Jersey,
Okay.
which is still a bit expensive and all. But,
Joyzy.
unless you are really in that top earning and then you buy a penthouse, but
Right.
then more than likely you're not posting your stories on Reddit and asking people what your situation is. You're not going to be that guy.
Right?
You're just not
Yeah.
doing that.
Is he fishing for a partner?
Good question.
You know, it just popped into my head. I'm like, you're telling a lot of information. You're like, you're in the top 1%, it sounds like,
He
right?
doesn't post his height though, so he's probably not tall though. So if he was over 6 foot and he was looking for a partner, he probably would have posted, "I'm over 6 foot," more than
Right?
likely, just for
Okay.
that. So yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah.
It's not all about looks, Matt,
I know.
apparently.
Well, if he has the money, it definitely is not going to be about looks. More than likely, if he's looking for a partner. Let's be honest. And you work in
Well,
Silicon Valley, it's not going to
I
be
mean,
about
he's
looks.
buying a house with cash.
Yeah.
He's planning on moving to a different area when
Yep.
he is done,
Yes.
right? So it sounds like
Yeah.
he could just, pull the plug and do whatever he wants by 40 for sure,
Yeah.
right? Like if he doesn't continue saving at that rate,
Right.
he's going to be okay. He's going to
Yeah.
be okay, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
So,
If
because
he,
he's got a
if,
big time horizon ahead of him.
Yeah. And even if this tech job doesn't work, I mean, that's the one thing in these type of situations of, yes, you have a tech job where you're making, 200K at 30 years old, but the
Mm-hmm.
rug on those jobs can easily be pulled
Yeah.
underneath you,
Yeah.
especially in
Yeah.
these situations. And you see how tech has changed, and in the tech world, there's like a 5 to 10 year cycle with these companies, and just
Mm,
the technology within the companies itself. And you take a look at
yep.
Facebook, and it changes its name, and now it's focused on AI. And what in
Mm-hmm.
the AI world is it going to be? Are you still going to be around in that sense? And
Yeah.
that rug could be pulled underneath you. At least he's being smart about it and realizing, okay, that
Mm-hmm.
might get pulled out, and maybe he'll be able to adjust. And it sounds like he's smart enough where he'll be able to adjust and find something else at that
Yeah.
point. But when it sounds like, it's like, check my retirement math, you know, even if you don't get to that exact target and all, you're
Yeah.
still going to be okay. And you're smart
Yeah.
enough that you're going to be able to figure out a way to be able to offset that loss that didn't get you to exactly where you wanted to be as it is
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
Yeah. I mean, if he moves to a low cost area, he's not doing tech. He's just doing enough to live, right, and
Hmm.
be happy and travel or whatever he likes to do, and
Yeah.
he'll be okay.
Yeah.
A-okay, I
Also,
think.
when you were 30 years old, you're a little older than me.
A little
Um,
bit.
I think about when I was 30 versus who I am now at 43. What I wanted to do changed.
Yeah.
Like you're like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I'm 30 years old and I'm going to retire when I'm 65. When he's, in his 40s and 50s and all, like what he's going to want to do in his life is also probably going to change, where he might want to open a bakery when he's in his
Yep.
40s. And that could be a source where he might be able to sell
Yep.
that bakery for, $1 million or something,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And that could then be part of his retirement then too. There's so many other factors with life that you don't realize that could happen down the road.
I have to do the math.
Yes.
2002, I was 30.
Yeah.
Was that right? That sounds right. 2002, I think I was, if not getting divorced, about to get divorced. So life totally was changing,
See, there you
right?
go.
Or
And you weren't
maybe, or
you
did
were
I
you
just
were you a financial
get
planner at the
married?
time then?
I was,
Okay.
yeah. But as we know, you get divorced, and that kind of wipes out a
Yeah.
lot of your net worth, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have much of a net worth back then. I think it was negative when I met Kelly,
Mhm.
but she had a real value buy, from
Mhm.
an investment point of view. She got
Yeah.
in at the low point,
Yeah.
and I think I've
She
done
saw
pretty
the
well since
upsell.
then.
She saw the upsell. She saw where it
That
was going.
something. I don't know what it was, but thank God she chose me.
Again, it goes back to what we said at the beginning. She looked at you and saw finances. She saw finances. It just screamed finances. She knew what was going to happen. So,
Yeah.
um,
But you're right. Like at 30, like so different,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And the world's
Lots,
going to be
lots can
so
change.
different too. Like, God, the world changes every 18 months now. The world is changing so much. The market's going to look so different
Right?
in 30 years. God is going to look
Yeah.
different this time next year when we have this conversation. God knows
Hmm.
what it's going to look like. It's going to look
When I was
different this
30,
time
there
next
was
month.
no iPhone.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I was 20 when you were 30. I
When
was
I
20.
was 30
So
years old, there was no iPhone, Matt.
back then we wouldn't
Crikey.
have been back then, we wouldn't have been able to do this type of conversation because
No,
I
this
was
was
working
just
in
on
radio.
Star Trek.
I was still in a physical radio studio with, old school dials and all, and we would need an ISDN line, which cost $150, $200 a month, and it'd be
Right?
like 20 cents a minute. Yeah, there's exactly. There's no way this would have even been possible to be able to do this. So God knows
It's
what would have
amazing.
happened. I think he's going to be okay. I
I
think
think he'll
he's
be
fine.
okay.
I think he's
Things
fine.
could go sideways for sure,
It could
but
go sideways, but
I think, yeah, if he can set that money aside, forget about
yeah,
it, manage it, but
yeah.
like don't touch it, he's good. He's
You
good.
know, I'm recording this right now. I'm in Galena, Illinois, which is 3 hours west of Chicago. I'm at my
Okay.
girlfriend's parents' house, and just outside of here is a little town called Elizabeth. And there's a coffee shop in this little town, and that has been open for a few years. And the family sold it. They decided to close off, and they said at the end of last year, and they said we're either going to close up or we're going to sell it to somebody if they want it. And some family from Portland, Oregon, bought it.
Hmm.
Decided to move back this way, and they bought it and turned it into like kind of updated it and just said we wanted to change our life and do something completely different. And I'm going to go tomorrow and kind of check it out because I went to the old one before.
Yeah,
I used to go there and check it out, and I'm excited to see what this new family has done. Point
that's
being,
awesome.
to this guy, you might
Mm-hmm.
be, in your 40s, end up having, meeting somebody and
Yeah.
realizing, hey, you bought this house in this low cost area, and you might realize, I'm tired
Yeah.
of tech. I'm tired of all this. There might be a
Mm-hmm.
coffee shop that you end up buying and then could sell, 5, 6 years down the road to somebody else, and then,
Yeah.
be able to put that towards your retirement. So your
Isn't
plan
life
could
so
completely
exciting?
change. Yeah, you
I
never know.
love not knowing the future. Some people get worried about it, but I'm like, man, what's going to happen tomorrow?
You just never know.
Right?
And usually
Yeah.
it's going to be okay. It's usually going to be
Oh, yeah.
okay. If
Yeah.
you like to take a look at your financial math and sit down and go, all right, Chris, take a look at this. I'd love to have you take a
Mm-hmm.
look at it. And you want Chris to take a look at it. Chris, how can they reach out to you?
The internets, which 30 years anyhow,
www dot.
foxfinancial.ca, as I'm in Canada.
That's where you can find
Yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of me. Yeah, for
it.
sure.
Awesome. Check that out, foxfinancial.ca. Make sure to look for us on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. You can subscribe there as well and check it out. Also, you can make sure to look for us on Instagram as well. You can find a link for that
Insta.
on Insta. We'll be posting more clips, and you can follow along. We'll be sharing some more insight and all there on there as well. So
I don't like the social media, Matt, but I'm going to say an old
yeah.
friend found me, and I hadn't talked to her in 25 years. And it was so cool that we reconnected over the old Instagram.
That's
So,
awesome. It does work.
It has some good upside.
Last time you probably spoke to her was on MySpace. So,
Oh, there was no MySpace.
Yeah, I know. 25 years
This
ago.
was
But,
before the turn of the century.
All right, now I feel really old. We got to go. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Next time we'll see you in the clouds.
Thanks, Grandpa. Thanks, Grandpa. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Trademarks owned by Investment Planning Council Incorporated and licensed to its subsidiary corporations. Investment Planning Council is a fully integrated wealth management company. Mutual funds available through IPC Investment Corporation and IPC Securities Corporation. Securities available through IPC Securities Corporation, a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund. Insurance products available through Chris Fox.